You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. Visit pencilandpaperproductions.podbean.com to find more great podcasts.
Welcome to the Palace of Megapixels. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. I'm your host, Stephen White. With me is my co-host, Lacey Finley.
Happy Monday!
We are officially almost halfway through this year now because
oh my
it's
God,
June.
Right?
Yeah.
Can you believe this? Where
it
is
happens,
it going already?
I remember as a kid, it never went this fast. And now that I'm older, it's just...
Remember how our parents always said, don't wish your life away. When you get older, it goes faster. And you never believed them. And then now here we are.
Yep.
Like,
they knew stuff. You know, who knew?
They did.
You know, I wish more kids would listen to their parents. But
it's one of those things that it never clicks until it happens to you. Because I know we all did the same thing. I'm sure your kids do the same thing. They'll get to your age and go, yep, Dad was right. Yeah.
But that's fine. That's fine.
It's part of living life.
Yeah. Before we get in too deep, I wanted to bring up two things. One, I wanted to apologize for the audio last week because if you happen to be listening and my voice sounded a little funny and you heard some clicks, I don't know what happened. But Lace, she sounded just fine. So it was all on my end.
Tones.
Oh, her dulcet tones. But yeah, I apologize for that. There was no way I could fix it beyond what I did. So if it bothered you, it bothered me too. It probably bothered me a hell of a lot more than it bothered you. So I beat myself up.
Thank you for championing through because, you know, that's not usual. So.
And I hope some of you went all the way to the very, 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 very end. Because, you know, sometimes I like to throw in little Easter eggs. There's a little Easter egg in there for those who barreled through to the end. Right. Listen to the song. I mean, who doesn't want to listen to that song at the end? That's just me. Also, want to give a little shout out because I happened to see this. I think it was last week is when it happened. Like Saturday, I think it was last Saturday. And for some reason, when I saw it, it didn't register at first. And then I looked back at it and I was like, oh, okay. So my apologies for being a dunce. Not really reading stuff, just kind of glazing over it. But one of our old guests and friend of the show, Garrett Hunter, he's on two other podcasts, The Bootleg Shanty and Let's Get Contextual.
Oh, he was lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We are part of a Facebook group called Podmates, and, you know, it's part of this collection of podcasters who are fans of another show called The Weekly Planet and other things in this kind of planet broadcasting group, which we're not a part of. I mean, if we were, we'd probably be a little bit bigger, but it's fine. It's fine. It's more of an Australian thing, which is, it's fine. No, those people are great. And then we're all part of that little collective of podcasters. Anyway, he put out a post on the group saying that they had new content coming up. And he said, you know, new content from your second favorite video game podcast right behind Super Mega Crash Brothers. And I was like, oh, come on, man. That was too nice.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's way too kind. Way too kind. But much appreciated. We're very humbled by it.
Yeah, that's very sweet. Thank you for the kind words, man. If you're listening.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. So,
because I know he was fun to have on the show. He really was.
Yeah,
man, alive, did he kill that game? Like, I felt
did.
shame. I'm glad we switched the games now. I can't live up to those standards now.
Yeah, he killed it. He killed it.
He really did.
I'd love to see how he would fare on our new game. You know, right? he may just like hone in on every single one of them. You never know.
Right? I set the bar pretty low, though. So, I mean, you only got to get like 2 and you're
right.
in, man. So
we'll have to get him back on soon. So, what have you been playing?
So it was a VR week for me. I played a new game that actually was just released, I want to say last week or the week before, called Welcome to Flavortown. And this is an adorable little game. I just happened to find it because I go randomly through Steam and I'll check like what's new on VR, and as I do with FMVs also, because those tend to slide under the radar as far as getting promotion when they're being released. And it's one of those, like, have you ever heard of like the accounting or like the people who do I think it's Justin Roland games.
Yeah. Squanch.
So that's what kind of caught my eye, because it just looked like it was just a bunch of tomfoolery, like just one of those comedy games, nonsense games. And so in the very beginning of this game, you are how do I explain it? Screw it. We'll just go to the part where all of a sudden the credits roll and there's a mayor laying on the ground stabbed. And so it has this nice little, rap song that goes with it. And then you're all of a sudden in a police station, but it's two meatballs that are your cops that are interrogating you.
Okay.
And you're being accused of killing the mayor of Flavortown. And on the table where you're being interrogated are pictures of the mayor, and it's Guy Fieri.
I was wondering if that would come into play.
Is the mayor of Flavortown, exactly? Yeah. And so you're being accused of it. And it's just really fun banter. I think it was really cute the way that they did it back and forth, like, accusing you of doing it. Here's a psycho's path, and just really getting all up in your face about it. And then they ask you, point out, like, you know what, we're wasting all this time. Like, did you do it? And so you make sure to nod no. And they're like, oh, good, this is so great. So now they kind of deputize you to help them find out who actually, in fact, killed the mayor of Flavortown. And it's a short game. I think it took about maybe a little over an hour. I was streaming it, so probably like an hour and a half, obviously, to stop and talk and all this kind of stuff. And it just 3 different scenarios that you go through. You have Ninja Turtle waffles, as you do in Flavortown.
Sure.
Or
sure.
they had the bands for like the Ninja Turtles, but they were waffles.
Mm-hmm.
You get to talk to Italian Bread in their restaurant and have little mini games to help like cook and stuff like that to get you out of that situation. And what was the other scenario? Oh, a hot dog. It was a giant jumping hot dog. And you have to help them like separate condiments and things like that. But it was a lot of good fun. And once you stay to the end of the credits, the developers have like little voiceovers like thank you for playing their game. They're very, very new to developing games, and even said that this was their very first attempt at a VR game. And so all in all, it was well done. It was tomfoolery, nothing serious to be taken here. The script was just fun. The interactions they had between everyone was just fun. And they definitely seem like good people. So I'd be interested in talking to those guys for sure.
Absolutely.
It was a fun, cutesy little game. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I mean, if you have like a Rift or a Vive, it's like $5 on Steam. I totally recommend just throwing it their way, because it was a good time, and I would love to see what else that they would be able to do, getting a little bit more funding for it, for their little game. I think they're called The Last Hope of the Internet. Is their I don't know if that's their team name or if that's what they switched to, but that's how I found them on Twitter, was like associated, where it has like the developer publisher on Steam, and because every time I go to stream a game, I try to seek out if they're on Twitter, what their web page is and all this kind of stuff, because I like to give props where it's due when I'm creating content with somebody else's games. And I go give them a follow. It looks like they're very, very new. So I think it's like _LHOI. I might have to get you that link or whatever, but they seem like young kids.
Yeah. We'll share it on our Twitter.
Bright, shining eyes, ready to dip into this world. So, it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. If you got $5 to throw around and you have a PC set up for VR, yeah, go do it. You'll have fun. You'll have a lot of fun. And then I also played I Expect You to Die a little bit, which is kind of like a puzzle escape room type game where you're supposed to be a secret agent and then you go into different scenarios and try to figure out, the world around you to try to escape from whatever situation that they put you in, which is a lot of fun as well. But there's a lot of scenarios to that one, and to go into every scenario would just be too long. But another really fun game if you just want to kind of sit around and do an escape room all by yourself.
Fair enough.
And
okay.
That might be it, I think, this week that I can remember that far back. How about you? Okay. What were you playing?
Well, let's see.
Ooh, that means
I'm
a lot.
gonna touch on this first because I did play. I went and decided because sales, and I got this one some time back, and I decided I would get it because I've been curious. I haven't played a Sims game since the original, but I got the Sims 4. Like
but it was free on Origin, or
no? This was like one of those PlayStation deep discount sales, and this was I think I got it for like $7, but it was a deluxe pack and all that stuff. So I thought I'm curious, I want to play, but it's an EA game, and I'm like So I was kind of torn, but I know
the struggle.
Yeah, I said screw it, $7. It's just $7. I don't have to buy anything else. And I messed around with it a little bit. I'm trying to get accustomed to the new layout, and it does definitely feel like this is meant for a computer, so playing on a console.
I think that's where it started.
Yeah, it is. So what little time I've put into it has been like I see myself getting sucked into it like the others, because you're like, what do I need to do here and do that? And, I'm playing life as opposed to going and living it, but it's fine.
Right. Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. So I dabbled in that for a little bit, but nothing too deep. I've been playing the Castlevania collection. I managed to get through part 1, and we all like to say, oh, these kids today, they don't know hard games like we used to have to play and all that stuff. I don't think they were hard by design. I think they were hard because they were just poorly designed. It was just like...
We're probably limited on hardware, too, what it could do, and...
Because
where we at the time.
I came across several points in that game where I'm just like, screw this level because this is horse shit. Because you'll be walking through and then there's something that just keeps showing up and you keep showing up, and it's just like, I can't escape this, and you turn back around and you're trying to dodge it and something will come up that way, and it's just like, you're throwing too much at me. I can't do anything.
Right.
So the save feature really did help. I'll at least say
good job on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's why we never finished as many games as we thought we did as kids, because like as soon as you got stuck, you're like, well, guess this is just the end of the road for me,
Yeah, I can't do this.
Start the whole thing over again?
No. I got other things I'd rather be doing. But I did get to Dracula. I don't think I've ever played Dracula on that, and that's another one of those design things that just aggravates me about old games is the fight with Dracula. He'll show up on the right side of the screen, then he'll shoot something at you and disappear. And it's a common trope of boss battles in those days where boss will show up, disappear, and you've got a limited amount of time to try and hit him, and then he'll show up somewhere else, shoot at you, and then, it's common boss battles of the time. But in this game, he'll just show up randomly, and then sometimes he'll be right on top of you, and it's like, I can't move fast enough to get away from him, so I'm just getting hit. And it's just, oh my God, that would aggravate me to no end, because I'm trying to keep moving, keep dodging, and it's like, oh, I'm right on top of you, and he's like molesting me, and it's like, get off me, you ass.
I did not consent.
So I got through that game. I will not be going back to it anytime soon. I appreciate what it is and what it led to. I touched on Simon's Quest, which is the second one, which I'm almost positive I've never played because it looks familiar, like picture-wise. Like I could say, I know the game, I know the design, but I don't feel like I've ever played it because controls are a little bit better, and the concept of the game has changed, because while it does feel familiar like a Castlevania game, the layout and aesthetic of it feels like Link to the Adventures of Link, which is the second Zelda game, where it's more of an adventure RPG, because
like
now
a
you got
scroller kind of thing.
Yeah, now you've got townsfolk and you got towns you can go visit and stuff like that. Even the life bar is very reminiscent of, funny enough, the boss battle bars on Zelda 2, where it's just little dots off to the left side. So you get to talk to townspeople. You get to buy instead of upgrading your whip through hitting candles or whatever the hell you hit in the original game, now you get to buy them. So you have to collect hearts to buy all your items, like the knives so you can swap out your item. So it's definitely more of an RPG-esque game, but it also has that other bullshit trope from these old games, is that invisible floor. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
Where you're just
yeah,
walking
yeah.
along and then you just fall through, and it's just like, why? And there's no indication as to where the floor is, or
You're just being a jerk.
Yeah, it's just like, you could give me something, just a little. I don't care if the blocks are slightly discolored.
Let it blink for a split second, or something. Yeah.
But no, it's just I'm walking along trying to get through this mansion, and then I fell. So now I got to go all the way back around. So I'm not complaining about the games. It's just those little things where I'm like, God, because I was so close to getting done with that mansion. Which that's another thing you got to do, is you go into these mansions and then you collect. I think you're collecting Dracula's body parts for some reason.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. So there's that. So I'll get through that. I'm trying to play them in order to kind of build. I want that suspense to be there, because I cannot wait to get my hands on Castlevania 4. That was my favorite.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna slowly build to it. I'll get there.
Sure. Yeah.
I did go back and play more of the Mario Kart Tour beta on the mobile.
Oh yeah.
And was trying to get a little bit more of an understanding of it. This will definitely be a freebie, because it has that that trope in free games where you have a limited amount of hearts or something like that, and then you go into and you've got to wait X amount of time, 30 minutes or so, before they all fill back up. It's got that. Now, one thing I'm sure they will do to kind of keep people invested in it, because it got me last night, is you have a leveling system, which I haven't quite figured out what its purpose is as of yet, like why you would get that. But for every race, you can play and say you can place third and you'll get 3,000 points. Okay, there's a star system within that you'll get at least a maximum of 5 stars per race, but you have to reach the point system. So say 3,000 got you 3, 5,000 will get you 5. So you've got to try to do your best to get to 5. Now, just winning first place will not automatically get you 5,000. I noticed that. You may have to do tricks. You may have to do whatever on the race course to kind of add that up and put you over the edge. Because sometimes I would be well beyond it, and then other times I'd be like just barely under it, despite being in first place. So placing doesn't necessarily get you every star. It helps because you'll get a bonus points for that, but it's not imperative, I guess, for that. So you'll earn the stars. That'll unlock other courses, other races later on down, and different cups and so on. There's an emerald system, which I don't even know if I touched on a lot of this last time. I think I was just kind of touching more on the tutorial stuff. But there's an emerald system, which would be like your heavy currency in this game to get you the real good stuff. You can earn those after. It's kind of like a bonus thing when you level up. So I guess there's that for the leveling system. And then you kind of pop these pipes and you can get some special carts, characters, just bonus things like that. And carts and characters and things like that, depending on what racetrack you're on, can benefit the track. So say if I'm on this one particular track that's like a Toad themed track, playing with Toad, playing with his car, things like that, I could probably get like bonus speed points, extra item slots, things like that, just if I use him. So there's kind of that benefit to the characters and stuff like that. So it's a little bit deeper than a regular Mario Kart game, which I kind of appreciate. Plus, they even have your racetrack class systems like the 50 and the 100, and I'm sure it gets higher and higher. But I don't feel like you're limited to that. Like, in the original games, you'll go through the 50 and you have to get the gold for all, and then you're the king of the 50, and then you go to the 100, I'm the king of the 100, and stuff like that. I feel like going to the higher racetrack is just a benefit to get more points, to get more stars. So Gotcha. There's not like really a class system in place for the racers. You can tell there's a difference in the race, but you're getting more points overall. So there's that. So I think this will, when it does release officially, it's gonna be big, because you can get sucked into it real quick. Like I said, what I did is when I started and just said, all right, you know what, I really need to kind of get into this because I'm part of the beta. I really needed to spend a little extra time with it. And every time anytime you finish a race, you get experience points for your leveling, or whatever they call it in this game. Mm-hmm. And every time I would kind of get to that last heart, I'd get a level, which would give me 4 hearts. And I was like, oh, okay. So you just kind of get into this loop where you're always getting there and going and going and going. And then once you get to this one cup where you're actually competing worldwide to get a rank, that's where I kind of lost my extra hearts. It was like, we got you right here. Now you're competing with everybody. And I was even curious about that early on, is when you're racing, I thought, am I racing with other people? Because I'm not bragging by any means, but anytime I play online, I always feel like I'm never going to be as good as everyone else, or that someone's going to be cheating or whatever. I was mopping the floor with all these racers. It was just like blowing my mind. I was like, am I really this good at Mario Kart? Because it was just like one after the other. It was like first place. It was like, are these the real racers or what?
Starting to question,
because I was just, because they had names like they were online players. So I was just like, maybe I'm just really good at Mario Kart. I don't know. So cool. But eventually, you get into those later races, and I'd started to rank a little lower. So that was fine. But I was just like, okay, good. Now at least I know it's not just me. So. Right. But it is fun. You'll get sucked in if you like Mario Kart. The controls are pretty easy. Like I said, all you're doing is touching a screen, going back and forth. And once you kind of get a rhythm of it and you know what you're doing, it's fun. If you like Mario Kart, it's fun. And then lastly, I got sucked into this rabbit hole. Have you ever seen those little games where all you do is just tap? You tap it like something. Yeah, there was a Godzilla game that came out. Called Godzilla Defense Force, and like, check this out. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a look. It's Godzilla, why not? Mm-hmm. And then it's one of those tap, and get all the monsters are coming, just tap it. And then before I knew it, I was like, just a little longer. I'm about to build just a little bit. Just hang on. And then before I knew it, it was like after 12. I was like, son of a bitch.
I started this at noon. No.
Yeah, so that'll get you sucked in really good. So, but yeah, that's all I've been kind of messing around with. Nothing major, but I do recommend the Mario Kart Tour should it come out. So I know that's 2 weeks in a row I've been really kind of going on about it, but hey. And hopefully I'm not breaking any NDAs. I'm not trying to give away anything. I'm just giving my opinions. Yeah. I didn't sign anything, damn it. At least that I know of.
Well, I don't know. How long was the EULA agreement in the beginning?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's talk about some news, because there's a little bit
this week.
And I'm a little.
Seemed like there was a decent amount.
Yeah, there was, and I'll apologize if I seem a little scattered. My notes are a little broken this week, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll get through it.
As we do, we will. Yeah.
We mentioned briefly last week about the World Health Organization's decision to classify or recognize, I guess, gaming disorders in its classification of diseases. Representatives from groups like the Entertainment Software Association and others are really kind of reaching out to the World Health Organization, wanting them to reconsider that decision. Because they said that they don't feel there's enough robust evidence at this time to warrant gaming disorder being included among other recognized diseases. Now, the statement also spoke about the protections which have been put into place when it comes to video games, something that the CEO of Sony has talked about as well. You've got age restrictions on games, parental controls, responsible game education initiatives. I feel like the gaming industry is afraid that this is going to hurt them in some way.
Yeah.
And I can understand why. I guess to a point. Like maybe this will, if you have a disease, kind of like, I really don't feel like smoking kind of is in that category with World Health, but you know what I mean. You get the stigma of a disease.
I would say more like alcoholism or
drug addiction
or something like
there
that. Something to where it's like
Let's say
impeding
alcohol.
your lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's say alcohol. So I think they're afraid that this stigma will come down on them, and they'll be like, "Oh, look at us. We're getting, no one wants to game anymore because now there's an addiction to it." And even this,
which
Sony,
I almost feel like that wouldn't be the case, though. Because, I mean, people still drink.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I understand the look, though. It's new. You'd probably have to wait several years past it being in the books to see how the dust is going to settle as far as how it affects them in any way. But, yeah, I can see wanting to fight it a little. But, I mean, if there are people that seriously have this,
yeah.
And we have plenty of evidence that there are people out there that do have this issue,
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, even Sony CEO, as we just kind of mentioned him, Kenshiro Yoshida, he actually spoke about this and talked about that they need to take this seriously and countermeasures need to be put into place. Now, I don't know if these countermeasures he's trying to present are to say, look, we've got this in place, don't classify it that, or if he's just saying, okay, I understand where they're coming from, so we're going to have these countermeasures in place. That way we're helping the situation in hopes that we're not feeding into it, that we're helping prevent the disorder.
Like, work together. Let's work together. What do you
Exactly.
think about this? Is doing it? Is there something that we can do to help?
I mean, they've mentioned that they implement their rating system and taking measures based on their own standards. And I'd love to believe that the rating system works, but the rating system does not work if no one enforces it. You go to a theater and you look like you're a kid and you want to go into an R-rated movie, they will not let you in. I will give that to theater chains and stuff like that. They have that
Unless
in
you're
place.
with your parent.
Right. But, I mean, they're not going to allow you in alone. It's just like, nope, you're not of age, or I need to see some ID, something like that.
Right.
You go to the store and you ask, you're a 13-year-old kid and be like, I want to buy the new Mortal Kombat. Here you go. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
No one gets
See,
carded.
I don't remember too much because I don't think the rating system was really in place yet when I was growing up. But I don't know if games were to the depth of what they are today as far as how intense they get or, gruesome, grotesque, whatever, depending on what game that you're playing, however you want to say it.
Right. Now, granted, I mean, I'm sure that there were games way back when, but before we even realized it, they were kind of doing the gore or even sex for that matter, because Custer's Revenge, if anyone's ever heard of that, if you haven't, just Google it. I'm not even going to get into details because it's, my God. Anyway, but yeah, at some point, violence in video games just kind of started to grow a little bit,
for sure. Yeah.
And it was just like, well, it's acceptable.
And the more realistic that they were able to portray it, yes.
Right. And not only that, but I don't feel like this really associates with the gaming disorder idea, but maybe it does. Where Sony was talking about, they're trying to put things into place. They mentioned where they're cracking down on sexual content in games, but I don't really feel like that is the problem. It's the microtransactions, in-game currency, something that really feeds into that addiction.
Yeah.
The gambling addiction. I feel like if they had an argument to stand on, that's what it needs to be. They need to argue in favor. It's not the games. It's the addictive behavior that comes with certain games that's feeding into a deeper problem like gambling does.
Right.
You get into that loop.
I feel like too, like kind of pulling on that thread a little bit. I know I keep going back to like the internet cafes examples, but those are like the biggest ones that I see, or like that makes the news. But like MMOs are good for that, right? Because then you have people that are addicted to farming coins for other people to make their own cash. Like they're getting paid to do that, or selling that currency themselves for real life money. So they've made a job out of sitting there and playing people's characters to level them up or do whatever with, or even like you said, the constant, I want to get this loot box, open it up, open it up, open it up, open it up, spend my money. So, I mean, there are plenty of examples that don't include the gambling features too. Just some people I have to sit down and play this in one go. If it's a 72-hour game, I'm still just going to sit here for that long and do it. But it seems like most of the cases do boil down to that, like constant gratification,
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if they're going to make a strong enough case for it, but we'll see. We'll kind of keep you updated if something should change. But I think it's set in stone now. So,
and I don't feel like they're really in the wrong by doing that, because we do have plenty of examples of some people that have addictive personalities for whatever reason it is, through no fault of their own or genetics or however it plays in, and might need a little help being protected against that for themselves,
Yeah. So we'll see. Now, we were just talking about the Sony CEO, Kenshiro Yoshida. He made a very interesting comment last week where he was talking about, if you look at the gaming industry as a whole, the console market is not really a major market, but a niche market. And that kind of struck me odd because I wouldn't have considered that. I don't really know how you would say consoles are a niche market, but maybe he's got a point.
Explain it?
I mean, he said, for core gamers, immersive experiences are something we would like to value, but in this respect, for the time being, console is something that brings about computing functionality to users that is very important. But on the other hand, technology will progress in a way that streaming services will kind of be enforced later on, and kind of building upon that, like the remote play and the PlayStation Now and things like that. So I think he's saying that, while they serve a purpose here and now, the focus is going to slowly fade away from them into a new digital age.
Okay.
And I don't feel like that's, until we have secured internet services across the board,
right?
I don't feel like that's going to be the case. People are going to want their consoles. They're going to want machines.
We've already made that argument. Just in the United States alone, like the average internet speed is like 8 to 12 megabits per second.
Mm-hmm. So
that's, by today's standards, pretty slow.
No,
like,
if
you can
I
get
knew
yourself through, but
No, if the world at large had proper internet services, then I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. That's the way to go. We're heading that way. It'll just be easier. No more physical media. We're all digital. Sure. But no, I'm not buying it.
We're several years from that until infrastructure really starts to get invested in, in those cases.
Now, granted, he wasn't saying that they are planning to abandon the consoles or anything like that. I just think he is of the idea with where we're seeing the Game Pass now, or the, they're all digital Xbox, and then we've got Stadia coming. I think he's thinking about these other possibilities, that they could take over. They could be a prominent thing for the future.
Well, I can understand like with the Game Pass or something like that because, I mean, you're still downloading the game onto your system. It's just having that Game Pass is allowing the unlock feature for you to play it. As soon as you cancel that Game Pass, that you won't have access to it anymore. But Stadia is another thing where it's like you constantly have to be playing it online. Like you're not actually downloading the game. So in that case, yes, I could see that like with your all digital because you're still downloading the game and you're still relying on your own system to run it. Stadia is the one where I would be interested to see how that works out across the board because you have to have internet the entire time because you're just constantly streaming it to your own device, whichever one you're using it from.
I'm very curious about that one too. And if anything was going to to jump back to our topic a moment ago, if anything is going to feed into the gaming disorder, it'll be that. The idea of having a game any and everywhere.
Anywhere you are. Yeah. Any device.
But I could be wrong. Just saying.
We'll just have more morons walking into traffic.
Well, natural selection. One other thing I wanted to bring up because I guess they're trying to take over the world is the Pokémon Company has announced 2 new apps that they are working on for the world. The first is Pokemon Home, which is a new cloud-based service that will allow players to store their Pokemon from various Pokemon games. I think this is supposed to replace the Pokemon Bank, where you could transfer things, but this sounds a little bit more elaborate now. So if you've got Pokemon from your 3DS, you got Pokemon on your Switch and all that, you can just shove them all on there, and then you can access them through your smartphone. You can trade via your phone. So if you've got all your Pokemon, it's like, hey, I've got 3 Pikachus. You want one? Yeah, let's trade. What do you got? And then you can just do it from your phone. So we're really kind of getting into that. As far as Pokemon games from like Pokemon Go, I think they are also kind of being in there. But from what what reports are indicating is that they are one-way transfer. So I don't know if that means that you cannot trade them. I'm not sure what that meant.
I looked into it.
Yeah, so... But, I mean, I guess this is cool for those people who are just like deep into it. I'm just not. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denying that I haven't played my share of Pokemon games, and you kind of get swept up into it. But at some point, I'm just like, I'm good.
Hey, if it's still working for them, by all means.
Yeah. Now, the next app that they announced is a little interesting, to say the least. They also announced Pokemon Sleep, which is a new mobile game that will track your sleep patterns with the help of a new periphery device. Now, they said that it's intended to do for sleep what Pokemon Go did for walking, which is really strange. I don't know what that means either.
I should have looked into it more because I kept seeing it. And then, I don't know, I was probably off doing something else and then forgot about it by the time I had time to sit down. But yeah. So your sleep patterns are playing the game?
Well, it said that you'll have to get a new device called the Pokemon Go Plus, which resembles kind of a flattened Pokemon ball. And it will monitor your sleep patterns and adapt its gameplay accordingly. So maybe that's what it's doing. So while you're sleeping, you're kind of playing.
Oh my God. If anything's feeding into a gaming addiction, now you can do it in your sleep, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, they said at the root of this app, the desire is they want to improve fans' lives. Obviously, Pokemon Go was trying to encourage players to walk more, so they want this to encourage players to improve their sleep in some way. So it kind of gives you, you don't want to stay up all night and, you hear people, it's like, oh, I got 5 hours
I gotta go to bed, man, or I can't catch that Pokemon.
Exactly. So they give this and it's like, hey, you want to go to sleep? You can get 8 hours and think about all the Pokemon stuff you can do in 8 hours.
Yeah, you cannot grab this Pokemon unless you sleep X amount of time.
And all you got to do is sleep.
Right?
You don't have
Those
to do
of
a
you with
damn
insomnia,
thing.
screw off. You don't get to play this game.
So we'll see how that goes. You know, it's funny, we start talking about the gaming disorders, and then we're talking about things that sound like it's going to feed into that.
I know,
It's
right?
weird.
Well,
everything we keep talking about. Just,
at least I guess it's encouraging decent behaviors.
yeah, I think that's what we're trying to look at. Because, granted,
I want
will
to look
say,
at the positive of things if I can. You
yeah,
know, I
if
try.
Pokemon Go got people to exercise, and this can encourage people to get a full night's sleep, okay, whatever
Deal.
it takes. You know,
Yeah.
screw being responsible. You got to catch that Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. Forget it.
Yeah. The next story I've got, which is I think something you kind of mentioned to me a little bit about, and I debated on whether this was weird news, but I thought, screw it. We'll put it in real news because it was it was interesting. Twitch has suspended some new users' ability to stream on the platform after an incident over Memorial Day weekend where some streamers joked about how little activity a certain corner of Twitch was dedicated to the game Artifact.
Oh my god.
And,
this.
Yeah, none of these streams that were featuring
None
Artifact,
of them were playing the game.
No, they were not. So what happened is this joke, so to speak, just kind of spiraled into the abyss of the worst of the internet.
Oh my
We're
god.
talking
There's
about-
things I can't unsee. Why am I curious?
Yeah, we're talking about pirated media, racist propaganda, hentai, hardcore pornography, depictions of self-mutilation, anime marathons, experimental memes, and in at least one instance, which, you know, this is real classy, a live restream of the Christchurch terrorist incident in New Zealand.
Yes. I think that's what finally brought the biggest attention to what was going on in that category.
Yeah, which, you know, the fact
awful.
that the rest of that stuff, you're just like, it's fine. It's like, oh, God, a terrorist attack. Well, we can't do that. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
come on. Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I mean, I guess I could make excuses back and forth. I mean, like, people are just horrible, I think, for doing that in the first place. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, but Twitch has just gotten so large and they've downsized their staff so much. It's probably only so fast you can get to things, and it takes the people starting to tweet and tag them and report in mass to draw their eye over to what's going on. And as soon as they became aware of it, to my understanding, it was taken down. But the biggest problem I see with it, and I don't know how they combat this, is just the ability to turn around and create a new account in seconds and start her right back up again.
Yeah.
So that was the problem is, you know, the chat would be like, oh, Twitch staff is in chat. Twitch staff is in chat. They'd get shut down. And then let's just say the name was like, Gimme123. Then they would create a new account, Gimme124, and just start it right back up again within 5 minutes. Which that's why I kind of had the idea that brand new accounts should not be allowed to stream for a couple days, a week, something to that effect, because that could combat those people constantly just turning around and, oh, you took down my hardcore porn? I'll just create a new one in 2 minutes and put it right back up, and I'll let all of my viewers know to just be there in a few minutes. This is going to be my next handle.
Yeah. So at least for now, and I feel like it needs to be, because granted they say it's a temporary suspension. I think it needs to be a proper suspension.
But
You
like
know.
I said, with how easy it is to create a new account and how easy it is to redo your IP address.
Yeah, but I mean,
You know.
granted, if like you said, there needs to be kind of a grace period. How long is it going to take? So that, at least that way, if they've created one and say in 30 days they start streaming, and then suddenly it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm getting taken down. They're still going to have to wait another 30 days. So it's not just that instant turnaround. So I can kind of get that. Unless some asshole out there goes and creates a bunch of accounts in one
at the
day.
same time, which I wouldn't be surprised someone would go that far to do.
No. But the question is why? Yeah. Why? What are you gaining here? What is the purpose of what you're doing? What was the purpose in all this? Just to say I could?
We don't have nefarious minds, though, so it's hard for me to wrap my head around why that someone would feel the need to put anything like that out there.
But that's what,
especially like with the terrorist thing, for sure, 100%. Like that, I don't.
But that's what it seems like.
I'll never be able to wrap my head around it.
That's what it seems like. They're just like, we're doing it because we can, and screw you.
Exactly.
So, you know,
and they have the anonymity of the internet, so they just feel like they can do this outrageous, shockish thing, and there's not going to be any real life repercussions for it.
Well, I mean these assholes, and they can all go to hell.
I do too. Yeah.
So
exactly.
Anyway.
I mean, I just feel like Amazon's got enough money. I feel like, and maybe they're doing this and we just don't know, but I mean, I feel like we would have heard about it. Start investing in money that can come up with some sort of solutions to some of these issues.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the first time Twitch has had this. Now, to this degree, this might be the first time, but I've never sought out those other channels. But I mean, they've had troubles with this for a while where people would create accounts, do pornographic things, and then raid into other people. And again, they'd get shut down and they'd be back on in 5 minutes. So that was why I always suggested, and I feel like I'm not getting paid the big bucks to come up with this idea.
No.
New accounts can't stream for a certain period of time. I've even asked them, like, put it in their suggestion box for like trolls. Like when you ban people, there's people who ban evade, and they, again, create a new account in seconds, come right back into your channel and start the same thing again. So I feel like if you're a new account, I should be able to set my channel to no new accounts can talk in my channel for a day. Mm-hmm. So even if you created a new account, you can't talk in my channel, you know, which would, I think, help the streamer, at least at that point in time, from having ban evasion after ban evasion after ban evasion. Because, again, there's no real repercussions to them getting banned because they could easily turn around and create a new account through a new IP and all this kind of stuff. So it's been a problem for a while. And Amazon, you got the money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, there's got to be a way that you can invest some of that into trying to come up with some real life solutions for these. And just the few that I've mentioned, I feel like would help a lot. And that has to be fairly easy to implement.
Yeah.
I mean, BTTV is an add-on where you can have it set up to follower only, you know, can chat for X amount of time, however long you put it in there. But again, that account could just follow you, wait it out for a couple hours and come back.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think those are just small steps that I feel like would be very easy to implement, to put as a placeholder until you find a real solution.
For sure. So, I don't know. I'm hoping something will, for the streamer's sake, and even those who enjoy watching the streamers or trying to get their entertainment from that streamer, people have to ruin everything, you know?
They really do. I don't understand it. There are places for that.
Yeah.
Like, if you really want to get that sort of entertainment for whatever reason in your brain, like, there's the dark web. There are websites meant for that sort of stuff. Go there. Why do you have to trash something that 13-year-olds and up are allowed to be on just to play video games and watch and have fun with other people?
Because it's more fun to ruin everyone else's fun. These are straight up bullies. However you look at it, they're bullies.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is just kind of an update to something I think I mentioned a few weeks back, but we finally got full confirmation. We mentioned that Konami was doing these anniversary collections. I've been playing the Castlevania anniversary collection. Well, now we've got the full list of the Contra Anniversary Collection, and I'm buying it because they put the one game I was wanting on that list, and that was the NES version of Contra. So I was like, yes, sold me there.
Nice.
There was never any doubt. If you put that on there, I'm in. Because that's all I've been wanting for so long. It's not been available, and now it's going to be available. So I'm in. I'm sold. But just to kind of add to it, because, you know, there were other games. I know that's the only one important to me, but other people might be interested. What are the other games?
They made other ones.
Yeah, they made other ones. So this collection is actually going to feature 10 titles, which I feel like was 2 more than the Castlevania collection, but I could be
more
wrong.
than I was aware of, to be fair.
Yeah. So what we have here is we've got the original arcade Contra. Then you've got Super Contra for the arcade. Then you've got the NES versions of Contra and Super Contra, or as they called it on the NES, Super C. Like you couldn't just spell it out. Then for some odd reason, we're getting the Japanese version of Contra, which was the NES Famicom version. I'm not sure beyond translation what's different. I think I read something about maybe there were some little cutscenes or something like that, maybe. So it'd be interesting to see their version, I guess. Then there was also, I think these were ones that were, some of these were already previously announced. So if I'm adding to it, I'm sorry. There was Operation C for the Game Boy, which, I'm sorry. The Game Boy games, they
played that,
they don't really hold up. I mean, there's some do, but
I mean, it's just hard for me to picture because, like, we were still talking about like green or black on green graphics. It was like the outlines of these games, and you just kind of went through it.
Yeah. Then we had Contra 3 for the Super NES, Contra Hardcore for the Sega Genesis. Then the last two I've never heard of. I didn't even know existed, so I'm assuming these were Japanese versions that they did for...
We just never got,
for whatever reason. The games are called Probotector and Super Probotector. They are... One was for the Sega Mega Drive, and the other one was for the Super NES. They are essentially Contra, but the main characters are robots, not soldiers.
Okay.
So that's
all right. Yeah, I'd never heard of it myself.
I didn't either. So
yeah,
but no official release date has been given outside of summer. So I'm going to predict right now, and maybe I'll do it, June 25th. That's my prediction.
Why that date?
Just sounds good. It's in summer.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had did some research on what that date meant to the Contra world or something like that.
No. Not. I mean,
like its original release date was June 25th, 1984. I mean, whenever the game came out.
If I wanted to try and get a connection to it, I guess I could have went a week later, closer to Independence Day, because soldiers, America. But even though, they're fighting aliens, like that matters.
Hey, Independence Day. We got this.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's my prediction. Probably wrong, but I just thought, yeah, that looks good.
We'll just do that. Yeah,
sure.
Why not?
So, there you go. That was our news. So we're going to hit those quickets now.
Excellent.
So, quick little bit of sad news, which I thought the way this is kind of brought up, I won't say it. I don't want to piss on the man's legacy. I don't mean it that way. But the composer of the original Rayman, Remy Gazel, or Gazel, I may have said his name wrong. Sorry. He passed away last week at the age of 41, losing his battle to cancer. And I guess what I was going to say is that the way it was kind of presented, I thought maybe this is the only game he composed. So I thought there were more games in the way they kind of mentioned it when I found the story. I was like, oh, but he just composed the original Rayman. But no, it's still kind of a 41.
So
man.
young.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I mean, that puts your own mortality into perspective when you hear stuff like that.
Right. Especially how close we are.
Yeah. But yeah, thoughts and well wishes to his family. It's no good.
It's tough stuff, yeah.
Death Stranding got an official release date and trailer, November 8th.
Did you watch it?
Kind of.
Did you go back and watch it?
Kind of bits and pieces because it was long. It was like...
I don't know if you get, for those who may or may not know, because they had a special live stream of it on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the longest time, it was a bunch of black goo handprints that were covering up a majority of the screen as they kept playing this. I think it's like a 7-minute trailer or longer on roll over and over and over and over and over again. And then when they finally, revealed the entire thing, I guess they were waiting for a certain time because there was rumors floating around the internet that like they got to get certain amount of people in chat before they're going to reveal the whole thing. And I think that was just, an internet rumor that was getting passed around because they had like over 100,000 people in there at one point and they were still covering the majority of the screen, So I was like, how many people you want? It's Twitch. Like, like you're not going to get 2 million people in here. But I feel like I know a little bit about what the game, way more than I did.
Yeah, I guess your baby's a superpower.
It's like your connection to the other side is the way that they were articulating it. So it's like you're trying to save the world or rebuild the world, I guess.
Obviously, that's what we do in all games.
Somehow this, that I don't know if they explained in great detail. Maybe I have to watch it again. But yeah, like Norman Reedus's character takes the baby so he can go back and forth between, I'm guessing, dimensions or into the past, So whatever that baby is, I don't know if they are just going to grow a bunch of babies and this is what they do. But he does a backflip.
He does.
Baby. It was kind of cute, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
As a side note.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So now we know it's not just super mailman in the future.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Norman Reedus had a ladder too. That was cool. Yeah.
And it reached really far.
Yeah, that was an amazing ladder.
So I wonder if we could just get anywhere. So it looks like your typical very bizarro Hideo Kojima type, I guess, quote unquote, brilliance that people love. And I'm interested. I don't like to throw around genius because that's all relative to people, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'm game. I feel like I would play it just because of the bizarreness of it all, that the morbid curiosity got to me. And after 4 freaking years, thank God, we're finally knowing when this thing is coming out. And I think get on with it, man.
I'm just curious for the sake of the story at this point. Granted, good gameplay will be a plus, but you've kind of got me.
It looks good.
Yeah, you got me at the actors. You've got involved, the talent you've got involved. So
oh my God.
I'm gonna assume.
I didn't even realize. I don't think that Troy Baker was like actually in it.
Yeah, he's in it.
So when that was revealed, I went, "Oh, hey,
there's that guy."
GG.
Yeah.
Like I know that guy. I love that guy. So like he's like legitimately in it, his own likeness and everything. So that's really cool. Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus, and some big power in that, man.
For sure. So November 8th, 2019, PlayStation 4. But I have heard there are reports saying that this is going to be a timed exclusive on the PS4, so other platforms may be getting it as well. So we'll see.
Are you telling me I need to wait for PC? Because I know they're already building in a PS5 version for sure. Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure every person who's developing for the PS4 right now has the PS5 in mind. So especially if it's getting released close to when the PS5 is coming out, that they could just be like, here's your PS5 version, and then you could buy it twice.
So I would say until we have something definitive, maybe. But this is, I'm not saying quite rumors, but they're just little things surfacing that are indicating otherwise. So,
okay. Well,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, I felt like this was coming in some way. The Xbox Game Pass is coming to PC. And all Xbox Game Studios games will now launch on Steam, starting with Gears 5. I guarantee you, this is why Valve has not said a word about Epic. Because as they've been buying stuff up, they're like, yeah, we got a deal coming. Don't worry about it. We're going to get all this Xbox and Microsoft stuff. I guarantee you that's why they've not said a word, because this deal has been in place for some time, and they were not concerned.
Well, and not only that, Epic's been doing a good job of like getting their own bad PR back and forth and kind of shooting themselves in the foot. So Valve's probably like, how about I just wait this out and I don't even have to get involved yet.
Yeah,
We'll wait and see. But yeah.
But in all fairness, Valve does have this tendency of not reacting to anything. So,
Which
typical
is,
Valve.
I can kind of respect that. Like, I kind of respect more people who doesn't want to get into the mudslinging and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah, but there are sometimes they do need to react, like when you've got games like, what was that piece of garbage game that came
Metro.
out? No, the terrible games that came up on their store, and they were just like,
like the shovelware stuff. Yeah. Like Rape Day or whatever it was.
Yeah, that one. And they were just like, and they didn't really say anything. I feel like we've touched on this, or maybe it was something like when we reported on it, it was something that was going to happen or being floated around. I think now it's finally happening. Is Sony Interactive Entertainment is under investigation by the ACCC, which I never got a full indication as to what the hell that stands for. But this is actually happening in the Federal Court of Australia. And this is because their claims are being made that they made false and or misleading representations to Australian customers in the PlayStation Store and website. And I think I remember something about misleading consumers, but I can't remember. I don't know if it was regarding refunds or something like that, or return policies. And I think that's where a lot of this got started, or where it stirred up from. But I know, I'm almost positive we've talked about this, or at least it was like something that was impending. But now it's official. Okay. They are now under investigation in Australia. So there's that. Dying Light 2 is being published by Square Enix.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's interesting, I suppose. Who published the original? Did Techland just do that kind of independently?
So Dying Light.
Because I feel like they did have a publisher, but I don't remember it being. It wasn't Square, that's for sure.
No. Let's see. Here's the Wikipedia. Let's see. Oh, published by Warner Brothers Interactive.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Developed by Techland. So they were the devs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
Warner Brothers. Well, good for Square, I guess. For getting that. I wonder why Warner Brothers passed on it. It's interesting. Speaking of Square Enix, Square Enix officially announced Marvel's Avengers will be revealed at E3. And there's a lot of speculation going on about that right now.
Did you see some of the leaks on that?
I don't want to.
I saw some of the leaks on that.
Yeah, I don't want to start speculating until we get full details, because everybody's like, "It's going to be this, it's going to be that, it's going to do this, it's going to do that," and it's like, okay, well.
Well, I mean, I know that there was like a blurb that was released, but then immediately taken down. So, I guess the speculation was it A, just put up too early, or B, it was incorrect and they managed to take it down right away? Because, I guess the one leak that they were talking about was that it was going to be. I guess online always, where it was a constant updates, all this kind of stuff. So that the rumor was it wasn't actually going to be a single player experience.
That sucks.
And then they took that down. So either it was released too early, or somebody put up the information that was incorrect and they managed to get to it and take it down. So at least, it's still being worked on, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll see at E3. I think a lot of the news we're getting now is very E3 centric. I think a lot of things just coming out that's feeding into that. So there's going to be more E3 news until E3 happens, people. So just get ready for it.
We're very close to it. So
speaking of E3, this was really odd. New Borderlands 2 DLC will be dropping during E3. Which I'm assuming will connect to Part 3. I almost bet on it. So they're just trying to feed into that.
Maybe like a little quick hour or two thing to kind of build up to whatever story they're doing in the next one.
Which
would be a guess.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive considering this is how old of a game? Borderlands 2's been out for some time.
I don't know. It's been a while. A few years for sure.
It's unprecedented, I'd wonder. New content for an older game like that. What else we got? Oh, yeah. because everybody loves Call of Duty. There was a trailer for Modern Warfare. It came out last week, and it confirmed, that it's coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, and then we got a release date of October 25th, if you care. It said that it's going to return, or it showcased the return of Captain Price, whoever the hell that is. As you can see, I really care about.
It's kind of like a reboot of the original.
They said it's a soft reboot of Call of Duty for Modern Warfare.
Oh, okay. I can't remember what the original one was even called, or it might have just been Call of Duty for all I know.
Yeah.
Looks good though.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does look nice, and I like the fact that they were saying that it's just there's no game passes, none of that. Like, just as stuff gets released, you get it kind of situation. So, I mean,
well, they
it's kind of
did
cool.
say that. Well, speaking of that, they did say that PlayStation 4 players will get the content first. Like any bonus content, they're going to get it first.
Yeah.
So they've
But
got
there's
that.
also supposed to be crossplay, right?
There is crossplay. They did say that crossplay will be available on
everything.
all platforms. So
Yeah. So I can
Sony's-
play on my PC with somebody on their PlayStation, with somebody on their Xbox.
if you really plan on playing Call of Duty, which
People love it. I mean,
I don't.
it's been a long-standing game. I
mean,
I feel like they lost their way with players when they started going into like the space agey type stuff, and then they started to listen and put the boots back on the ground, and that's what people really enjoyed. So I mean,
But I mean, you got to hand it to them. They were trying to revitalize something that's just
sure.
been done over and over. And it's like, God, man, what else can you do?
how many wars can you put us in? Yeah.
How about this? How about this? Give it a break. You don't need a new one every year. Just give it a break. Just
That's
stop.
what I say with Assassin's Creed too. I'm like, I would love it so much more if you just gave us more time in between to really love the
Exactly.
one before it. But I mean,
No,
hey,
they won't
again,
do that.
people love it. I'm happy for you if you're happy for it, and I hope it's what you want out of it.
Good for them, I guess. Yeah. Nintendo has done it again, pissing off their core base by doing, or should I say, not doing something that should be something they should be doing in their games. It seems that some people are being, I don't know if this is officially announced by Nintendo, but it has come down the pipeline, has been confirmed. Super Mario Maker 2 was said to have multiplayer options, and you could play the game and stuff like that, but apparently you can't play with your friends.
Right? Yeah, I saw that. It was really weird. I thought.
Yeah. So it's just like,
Because
why
all of them
wouldn't
you
do
can,
that?
right?
Yeah, I mean, why
I wonder
wouldn't
what
you?
the thought process was there.
I don't know. I don't understand them sometimes. I don't understand their thought process sometimes. It's like, why aren't you doing like the whole what was it the voice chat on the Switch, and you got to do it through a mobile app? Why? Just build it
why
into
are you
the
making this hard? Yeah.
yes. Why? Come on, man.
Oh man. Yeah.
But while we're on the subject of Nintendo, a sequel to the video game Detective Pikachu was announced for the Nintendo Switch. So I guess they're riding on that high. They're just like, all right,
Hey,
Detective Pikachu is
strike while
popular.
it's still hot, man.
Did you know that Google retired the YouTube gaming app last week?
Didn't know there was one.
Well, I think that's
Like
where they
an
were trying
actual
to. I guess
Kind
so.
of like
I know
a
they
Twitch
had.
mobile or a Mixer mobile app thing.
Yeah, but it
Yeah,
was.
I didn't even.
They
know
had that whole. Where they
I know
were
there was a
trying
YouTube gaming category.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes along with it as well, where it was just like they were trying to compete with Twitch and all that, and I think they just realized, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
People, I think, just go to the regular pages, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
they do.
I could be talking out of my butt for all I know.
Well, while I'm talking about this, I actually read this last night, which is surprising to me, and it may affect our listeners while we're talking about it. Apple is apparently shutting down iTunes.
Oh,
Now, from what I gathered from this information, is they are going to dissolve iTunes and then spread out content amongst multiple platforms. So maybe they want to, instead of having iTunes for music and movies and podcasts and all this other stuff, you're going to have apps for everything specifically. So you have one thing for music, one thing for movies, one thing for podcasts. I'm assuming that's, from what I gather, that's what it sounds like. They're going to dissolve that one thing to create multiple things.
Seems strange, but okay.
It does. I feel like they should branch, because iTunes is synonymous with Apple. You feel like you'd at least keep that for the music, and then maybe branch all the other stuff off. But maybe it's too big that they're just like, let's just restart.
I mean, I guess, yeah, because I feel like if you start throwing too many different platforms at people, they're not going to down. Well, I mean, I guess it just depends. There's probably like, I used iTunes for this. I used iTunes for this. So now you can just have that instead of searching through all of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have Apple, so I don't know how
I don't
it works,
either.
really.
But if you're one of the few people out there listening to us on iTunes, then just be aware something's coming down the pipeline. Hopefully you won't lose us in the process, and we'll have to re-up or whatever the hell we got to do on that end. So we'll see. We'll
figure it
keep
out.
You posted. Yep.
We got you.
Ghostbusters, the video game remastered, was announced for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Did you ever play the game when it came out originally?
Not originally. I know it got redone for PC, and then I remember I got that game, and I don't think I got very far because I think it was so many years past. It didn't age as well, and it didn't keep my attention. So I wish I would have done it when it was new because I probably would have fond memories.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm actually kind of glad they're bringing this back out because, one, I didn't get to play this version. The version I got to play was on the Wii, and the characters weren't the actors. They were caricatures of the actors because of the limitations and whatnot. So I'm excited to actually play a version where the characters look like themselves. Plus, I've argued this ever since I played it. If you want Ghostbusters 3, there you go. Because this is a continuation of those stories. You've got the actors. You've got a story that just keeps going. That's your Ghostbusters 3. If you want it, there you go. Play it.
Got it. Yep.
I guess I meant to bring that up too. It's also being released on PC via the Epic Store. So
Gotcha. Yeah, of course.
There you go.
That's the way
I somehow missed it. Like it just blended in and I just overlooked it.
I think we all just assume at this point. Is it new on PC? It's going to be on Epic. Yeah.
Epic. Mm-hmm. I saved this toward the end. And you'd think I would have brought this up sooner, but we got a trailer showcasing the first round of DLC for Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh, yeah?
New characters.
Right.
Now, in the trailer, I was a little surprised by this. They only focused on Shang Tsung. But man, oh man, you talk about fan service. If you love the movies, well, let me rephrase that. If you love the movie, the
one that we will talk about,
the original movie, then this trailer was for you because he comes out and he's, looking all just like he did. Granted, the costume is not identical, but still, it's just like, there's a Shang Tsung from the movie. That's awesome.
Exactly.
And then he quotes the movie at least 2 or 3 times that I can recall because I can't even remember what he said at the beginning, but it was something straight out of the movie. And then at the end, after you do he did a fatality, which was pretty brutal. Plus, oh God, yeah, I'm just getting excited just thinking about it.
I can see it.
His as he morphed in the trailer, like because he's Shang Tsung and he can change into other people, he was transforming into the color palette swap ninjas from the old games. You know how Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Ermac, they all look the same.
Sure.
They were just palette swap. That's
Green,
what he was
yellow,
doing.
Blue. Yeah.
So one minute he was Scorpion, and the next minute he was Sub-Zero, and the next minute he was Rain, which I felt like that was a sly little, they haven't announced Rain yet, but the fact that we just saw him there was like, are you saying that he's going to be in the game? But
or like this is our way of kind of giving you Rain and calling it a day.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So who knows? But again, it's the old costumes, the old palette swap costumes, which I thought was kind of a nice little nod. And then the fatality that he did, I want to say, for spoiler's sake, because it's not really a spoiler because it's a fatality, but still, some people may, if you don't want to know, you want to watch it for yourself or whatever.
5, 4, 3,
2, 1. He throws a skull at the enemy who is raiding, and then an arm comes out one end. An arm comes out the other, and it's like, what the hell's happening? And then it rips him out from the inside, and then who should pop out but Kentaro, which was like the second Goro boss, from one of the other games. I was like, oh, God, that's a great little addition.
Nice. Yeah,
but all they did was really showcase him, and then, of course, at the end, he looks at the screen, he's like, your soul is mine. Straight out of the movie, he's like, that was awesome.
Nice.
Angle and everything. And then... Then they announced the other characters, and I'm starting to think that list that got leaked may be legit. Because Shang Tsung, Nightwolf, Sindel, Spawn.
Yeah.
And then they said 2 more to be revealed that will be in this pack. Now, they didn't really give any indications as to what they are. However, I was speaking to Garrett Hunter, who we mentioned earlier in the show, about what we heard at the end. And we heard a faint sound of a chainsaw and some music that kind of sounded like Terminator music. Don't know.
Yeah.
It could. Maybe we're just assuming. Maybe we thought we heard something.
Want
that we
it
didn't.
so bad. Yeah.
But if anything, I am almost positive of. I swear I heard a chainsaw. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm just saying. I know I heard a chainsaw. Yeah. When they said
was
2
Bruce
more,
Campbell lying to us?
Don't know. I mean, it could be one of those situations where he's not voicing the character. Because they did that shit before, which is terrible. Don't do that. Don't do that. He's
very recognizable. You can't really emulate that and get away with it.
But But I was really surprised that they announced them, but they didn't show them. Because they really. So maybe I guess over the next few weeks, because I think they said June 18th. Because I forgot to write it down, but June 18th I think is when the early access. So I'm assuming those who bought the pass, combat pack pass or whatever, they're going to get access to Shang Tsung. So I'm going to assume over the next few weeks, as we near an inch closer and closer, we're going to see each character get their own trailer, be revealed and stuff like that. But Nightwolf, Sindel, and Spawn were all on that list.
Nice.
So I'm starting to think that maybe it was legit.
Right.
Could be.
Well,
But maybe they're throwing us off. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe it's a good PR move there.
Multiple reports have stated that BioWare has abandoned Anthem. Like they've gone radio silent on the matter. People kind of
saw that coming.
Which I don't think we were
gone dark.
all that surprised by. I think we've been talking about that already. Even though they said
they
no, we're
absolutely
not going to.
100% said they were dedicated to it, so you were kind of hoping they would. But I mean, we still don't know, I guess, for sure.
No. But it's seeming that way right now. And the last thing I've got is Sony released a comment about the Uncharted movie, which we haven't heard anything about in a long time. But they said it's in advanced development, whatever that means. So, I thought once you had a director and you had a cast, you're pretty much on your way, but clearly not. Which, you know what? I want to state, and I probably have stated this before, but Tom Holland's a good actor, okay? I really, I love what he's done with Spider-Man, and I guarantee he's going to be awesome in any other role that he tackles, but Nathan Drake is not it. I'm having a really hard time imagining.
I
even
just
as
hesitate to ever say anything about that stuff anymore because we've had public outrage about a lot of this different stuff, and then you're like, oh, okay, they actually crushed it. So
and I feel like he would, but I feel like I'm just having a hard time placing him
like
in that
looks
role.
wise.
Yeah, just everything about it, because when we think of Nathan Drake and who he is, and I understand this is supposed to be young Nathan Drake, but there's just something about him, his voice, and everything. It's just, I'm having a hard
I feel
time
like he's got the
accepting that.
personality for it.
He does. I have no doubt if he did it, he would nail it. But
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time with it, putting him in that role. Very much kind of like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, if you want to stay on the Spider-Man analogy. It was just like one of those, he did good, but at the end of the day, he's still, I'm Tobey Maguire, I'm Spider-Man, and with his wispy little voice or whatever the hell. So yeah, I'm trashing Tobey Maguire. Come at me, I don't care. But yeah, that's all I got for that. So let's do some truth or trash. I've only got 2 this week.
Okay.
Because there were a few things, but I'm tired of speculating on speculations. Let's just get rumors or facts,
Get some
people.
hardcore stuff.
So the first thing I've got is The Witcher 3 will see a release on the Nintendo Switch in September.
God. It's just so heartbreaking to think about going to the Switch and wondering how it is. In September, you say.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say truth, because I heard they just wrapped on the actual series. Maybe they're trying to coordinate for when that comes out on Netflix and kind of create some extra buzz for it. So let's say true, because I feel like September would be when you would start a new series. Fall.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So true. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be a smart marketing ploy, I think.
Yeah. And the last one I've got is Cyberpunk 2077 will release in April of 2020.
I mean, that seems totally possible. But it's such a large world. I shouldn't overthink it. Let's just say let's say trash, because I feel like they might want to wait for summer.
Sure. Fair enough.
That would be my only reasoning.
But hey, I mean,
Kids will be out of school. Here, kids.
The fact that certain big games come out in January still blows my mind, but whatever.
Yeah. Like you feel December should be the mark, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't jot this down, but I did have one sliver of weird news that you sent me, so maybe you can elaborate on it. Having to do with
I don't know.
Skyrim.
I send you a lot. I'll have to remember.
Well, no, this had to do with Skyrim and chickens. So,
Yes.
I mean, what is that about?
It's just kind of funny that I guess we're still learning all of this stuff about it. So basically the TLDR on the whole thing was just that some people finally discovered that apparently you can hide or use dead chickens as extra bag space. Like you were able to put objects inside dead chickens. And not sure how it's just now, been discovered or whatever it was.
Who knows?
But yeah, so apparently in Skyrim, when you kill the chickens, if you can manage to do it without the whole town killing you, of course, maybe that's why we've never discovered it before, because you kick a chicken and it's all over, man. You're banned from this area forever. But apparently you can now hide items in it. I don't remember what they said, how many, but yeah, so I'm guessing hide it in the chicken, put the chicken in your inventory, and bam, extra inventory. So I found that quite funny.
Yeah, it's I don't.
Yeah.
Who thought to do that?
So
Chickens.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I don't know how it got discovered. Yeah, it's kind of
people on the
somebody was
internet.
just they finally picked up a dead chicken and was just moved probably something by accident and noticed that it went inside the chicken and went, wait, what?
The chicken's butthole is a portal to another world.
What? It'd be hilarious to be 50 extra things can fit inside this chicken.
Hey, let's play.
I'd buy that for $1.
All right, let's do it.
So, I was just talking about The Witcher 3 a moment ago.
Yes.
And if you were to choose a favorite scene out of The Witcher 3, what would it be? What would it be?
Oh, God, I don't know. I honestly never finished that game. It was too large for me.
Okay, fine. Well,
He was taking a bath.
perfect.
Beautiful. I remember that
Perfect.
scene. There you go.
Perfect. Because that's exactly what I wanted you to say. He was bathing. Okay?
He was
because,
bathing. The glisten off of his shoulders.
That's right.
Was amazing.
And I mean, this scene is so well known. I mean, there are memes about it. You know, there's so many awesome things going on about him taking the bath, and he's got his little rubber ducky and all that, and he's glistening, shining, and you know, thank God he's covered with bubbles in his areas. But anyway, CD Projekt Red, I don't know if you remember this a couple of months back, they tried tricking everyone into thinking that a statue of that scene was being made, and then they revealed it as an April Fool's joke. So it's just like, However, demand was so high that now it's actually a thing that's going to be released. So they have teamed with Dark Horse and have created this marvelously detailed, hand-painted Polynesian statuette for everyone's favorite Witcher kicking back in a candlelit bath, complete with his little rubber ducky.
Oh my God.
His feet out and just...
Hell yeah.
So,
All right.
the dimensions, I'm trying to remember getting dimensions this time. He is
Yes, I was going to ask that actually.
5 by 5 by 3... or 5.5 by 3 by
Inches?
5 by 8 inches.
Okay. Okay.
And you can buy it right now. But how much are you willing to pay for this wonderfully crafted statuesque of a man?
So handcrafted, hand painted.
Hand painted. Very detailed.
Oh my God.
You can get it on Amazon.
I feel like this is at least $50. Probably more.
You tell me.
Tell me. Okay, $50. I'll just say
You're going to have to go up a little bit. It's $72.
72. Okay. I figured it was a little bit higher when you said hand painted and all this kind of stuff, but I felt 100 was too much. All right, $72 for your own bathing Geralt.
That's right.
Excellent.
He's a man, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get another one of him bathing with Roach out in the river. All right. Let's do some release dates. First, on June 4th, we have Warhammer Chaos Bane for PlayStation 4. Then Trover Saves the Universe for PC. Then we have The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2 for PlayStation 4. Effie for PlayStation 4. The Elder Scrolls Online. Elsewhere. Yeah, I nailed that. For PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And Kododama, The 7 Mysteries of Fujisawa for PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Excuse me. Then on June 5th, we have Astivine Dios for Xbox One. June 6th, we have MotoGP 19 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Slay the Spire for Nintendo Switch. Toki for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. And Word Wheel by Paugi for Nintendo Switch. Then on June 7th, we have Octopath Traveler for PC. Party Golf for Xbox One. Warlocks 2 God Slayers for Nintendo Switch. Refunked for Nintendo Switch. And that's all we have for June 7th. Now for the PlayStation Plus games for June. PlayStation Plus owners are getting Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, which I will not be playing.
I saw that.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're getting all of it, which is really cool.
Yeah, but I just had a hard time getting into the game, so I just don't see myself going back.
Fair.
And then Sonic Mania, which I've thought about maybe just poking at, but I mean, I could add these to my library. They're there. If I wanted to play them, I could. But I mean, it's free. No, I mean, it's not like I'm out any money. I can just add them and be done with it. They're there. If
You don't have to download it.
So I might do that. And then the Xbox games with gold for June, we have EA Sports NHL 19 will be available from June 1st to the 30th on Xbox One. Rivals of Aether from June 16th to July 15th on Xbox One. Portal Still Alive from June 1st to the 15th for Xbox One and 360. Then Earth Defense Force 2017 on June 16th through the 30th for Xbox One and 360. So, there you go. There's your games for the week and the month. Oh, man. I get so excited every time we get here because it's time to play Name That Game!
You guys only knew how often we just dance.
Yeah, because we hear it. And cut.
It's good.
All right. So, we've got some good ones for you.
Hopefully you only got a couple.
Well, let's see. What do I got? 1, 2, 3. I mean, I tried. I did cut it down a lot because at some point it became this idea of, okay, what sounds interesting? You know,
Right.
Start taking out the garbage and really focus on the really, really interesting sounding games. So the first one you're just going to love because this game is being touted as the first hack and slash RPG shooter game that allows you to finally, quote, go all the way with some of the sexiest creatures in the galaxy. You play as Captain Fort Worth and his crew of space wranglers diving headfirst into sexual encounters with naughty elves and racy robots, battles with hordes of orcs, and the search for the galaxy's holy grail, the Elf Queen and her band of horny minions. This isn't some sci-fi fantasy sex simulator, but an entire game with a story, missions, weapon upgrades, troop advancement, and sex integrated seamlessly into gameplay like never before.
And I bet you Epic didn't buy this one up.
Nope. Is this A, Bonecraft, B, Slay and Lay, C, Adventures in Fornication, or D, Wrangling the Worthy?
A, Bonecraft.
You're correct.
Yeah! It sounded very RPG-y.
All right. The next game is an exciting...
No, I need to stop here. I'm on top.
Well, no, I've got to take you down just a little bit.
All right.
I mean, the day that you can nail all these, I don't know. I may just have to stop this game altogether because I can't trick you anymore. This is an exciting 2D platformer for all ages, inspired by platforms from the 80s, or platformers. It's pure game, packed with excitement to keep you coming back for more. Your mission is to lead the hero into a deeply challenging adventure through the jungle, battling slimes, bats, crazy mushrooms, yetis, and other large creatures. Be sure to collect the coins so you can compete on the leaderboard. Is this A, Bamboo Fighter, B, Rumble in the Jungle, C, Hopscotch Tangle Watch, or D, The Incredible Adventures of Super Panda?
Do you play as a panda? Did you say? Sure. Why not? The Super Panda D.
You're correct.
Hey!
2 for 2. You're doing great.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Okay.
I'm nervous now.
All right. The next game. In this side-scrolling action RPG, you were dead, but you have been revived in a massive underground complex. But how did you get here? And how do you get out? Aided by the undead necro chef Simmer, you must stay safe, get fed, and find a way out. But how would one do that? Simple. You hunt down monsters, cook them, and eat them. Then you use their leftover parts to make weapons. Create dishes that grant you new abilities and combine them with the additional dishes that can affect your entire playstyle. Can you survive and escape? Is this...
You mean re-survive?
Yeah, fair enough. The English sometimes, you know. Is this A, Dinner of the Dead? B, Dungeon Munchies? C, The Night Chef? Or D, The Bone of Food and War?
The Bone of Food and War? That almost sounds so awful that it has to be true. Like, sometimes the devs, you know, you're just like, what was the worst one possible? What was A again, though?
Dinner of the Dead, Dungeon Munchies, The Night Chef, or The Bone of Food and War?
I want to go A or D, A or D, A or D, A or D. D, just because it's awful.
Answer is B, Dungeon Munchies.
Oh, I would have been wrong anyway. I was bouncing between the wrong two.
It's okay. Ha-ha!
It sounded too creative. That's why I was like, nope, that one's too good
All right.
for the game.
Sure. The next game is a local multiplayer party game where you must chop, sear, and eat your way through a series of mini-games to dominate the kitchen. Play with 2 or 8 players where you can share your controller with a friend and crush the opposing teams and come out as the top chef. Is this A, Gore Melee, B, Party Snacks, C, Refreshment Riot, or D, Munch Fest?
Okay. D could go so many places.
It really can.
It really can. What was A?
Gore Melee.
Let's go A. Gore Melee.
You were on a roll today.
Yeah.
It is Gore Melee. All right. I got 2 more, and hopefully I can get you here. The next one. In this game, it is Valentine's Day, and you are about to celebrate this joyous occasion with your boyfriend on your spaceship. However, just as things are starting to heat up, the warning alarm sounds, and the spaceship starts plummeting down towards an unknown planet. The ship crash lands, and you barely make it out alive. When you regain consciousness, you notice that your boyfriend is missing. Despite the perils that lay ahead, you must summon your strength and set off on this dangerous quest through open fields, abandoned space stations, and dark caves to find him. Is this A, Star Crash Lovers, B, Valentine's Space, C, Love is in the Space, or D, How to Lose a Guy on 10 Planets?
I like that one. I don't know. I still feel like A. I think I'm going to go with A.
The answer is C, Love is in the Space.
Ah.
It's okay. You got 3.
Yeah.
So you,
Well, I still got 3.
Yeah, I mean, you're
We're
like
already
half
up.
If you get this one, or I mean, you'll at least
It would be a new record
Yeah.
if I got this one. I think 3 was my
3 is a
max
good record
last
already.
time.
All right, last one. In this game, something has gone awry. The conveyor belts are switched off, the penguin transportation tubes are malfunctioning, and the snack machine is out of order. In such substandard working conditions, it's going to take all of your skill to ensure that those crucial penguin deliveries are sent out on time. On top of that, rumor has it that some pesky imposters are attempting to sneak their way into the delivery boxes. Your only defense against these terrible, troublesome fraudsters is constant vigilance and a large wooden mallet. This is a puzzle game with a number of weird and wonderful contraptions, each of which can either be turned on or off, or can have its direction changed. Your task is to get every penguin safely into a delivery box by getting each piece of equipment working in the right way at the right time.
Okay.
Is this A. Suits in a Box, B. The Penguin Factory, C. The Emperor's Sweatshop, or D. Chili Willy Shipping Emporium?
Ooh, B or D? That's where my brain's going instantly, B or D. Because B seems very generic. But D would be kind of cute. So I'm going to go B.
You are correct.
New record.
Got 4. That's amazing. Good job.
Yeah.
I didn't do my job worth a damn this week. So.
Or I just have less faith on the devs now.
That's right.
With the gross ones. I don't know. Now you just got to start coming up with stuff that doesn't make sense. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I gotta.
Or makes too much sense, and then it'll throw me off.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to work on that.
Yours are just too good.
It's
the problem.
I know. I can't help it.
You're just too damn creative, man.
So, Lace, you played a game this week, did you not? A brand new one?
Did.
If that.
I did. Like I said, it was a VR week for me, for sure.
Well, why don't you tell us about Blood and Truth?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I'll try not to give it all away at the riot. So I'm gonna do a nice little review of the Blood and Truth VR, which came out for PlayStation VR this week, Tuesday. So set the stage. You play as Brian Marks, your ex-army, whose family kind of wheels and deals in an underworld crime war. The game opens on you already being interrogated. So at this point, you don't know who the guy is. But he wants you to give him info on the people that he has pictured on the whiteboard for you. So you're in like this garage type situation. He's got hovered over you. You're sitting down at the table. Your character isn't interested in handing over that info, and he is no less pleased with you not cooperating. Who are they? You soon find out. So then you are thrown into your tutorial phase. So it throws you into the action of what Blood and Truth really has to offer. You're at war. Your mission is to extract one of your own that has been captured. You find yourself hunkered behind cover while chaos is happening all around you. Helicopters, guns are going off, bombs are going off. As you're taking in this world, you move through the space by looking, and you find predetermined arrows that are placed throughout. So while you look at it, you hit the appropriate button, and via locomotion coupled with comfort mode, which is what I think they call it, where your peripheral kind of fades out very narrowly, so the sides are blackened, and you can only see directly in front of you, and then it opens back up when you come to a stop. So that's how you move to that location. So in this scene, it gives you kind of the ins and outs of how to operate the game. It's fairly simple, really. Your guns are at your hips. You reload from your chest, aim and pull the trigger. So as you go through the scenario, they do a really great job of just throwing you into the action. So after you rescue your man, it takes you through this scene arcade style. You're being moved through the environment. You have no control over where you're moving, and you're shooting your way through like a badass action movie. Nice. So then you just jump, and in slow motion while you're shooting your way out, your rescue car screeches in front of you as you hop in. And now, as you expect, you're escaping in your vehicle, and it's up to you to shoot everyone who is coming to stop you along the way. So this is a really fantastic start to the game. So I can't even do it justice on just how awesome you feel as you're playing this scene. And so the way the game kind of takes place is it takes you through vignettes of the story. So the shots are kind of mismatched to you go to the past, back to the present time. So this is kind of the formula that the game will play throughout. So, and this becomes more clear as the next scene. Now you're on just a commercial airplane, some guy sleeping to your left. You look out your window to your right, and then the scene will flash before you of why you were on this getting on the airplane. And then now the scene will flash to you on like the walking escalator inside the airport to a guy who's holding a sign who is there to pick you up. So as you get into the car, you find out the guy that's picking you up is one of your brothers. So there's a really nice, lovely exchange there between you two, just kind of catching up. You're done with being in the army now. You're home. But you find out that the reason why you're going home is that your father has passed away. So your mother is there. Now you're in a scene where you're at the family office in your home. You have your mother, your brother, your sister, and all in all, considering the circumstances of why you're there, it's a really lovely scene of how your family interacts with each other, how well that they all get along, the nice little funny quips that they do back and forth. So crime family aside, it's really fun to kind of explore this. And so this is where the game actually begins, because now that the patriarch of your family business has passed away, and not nefariously, mind you, he passed away, the neighboring crime family has learned of this and now breaks into your home to strong arm you out of your business for themselves. And now you're off in all of its action glory. And this is where I will kind of stop with the storyline stuff, because I think past this, you're going to go into more spoiler territory. And I think for you, you're really going to want to go into this exploring the story completely on your own.
Fair enough.
But it was just a really nice way to introduce you to how all of it happens, and introducing you to the cast of characters that you're going to be interacting with throughout the game. So mechanics. How does it play, right? So the mechanics, they're pretty straightforward for PlayStation VR. So as I stated before, the movement is locomotion. So if you get motion sickness really, really, really easily, you might want to play this just little chunks at a time. Although I feel that with it being with the comfort mode, because I'm the type that locomotion can be a bit difficult for me as well, although I've been doing VR enough now that I can tell I can handle it more. Like I'm being able to play those types of games a little bit better. But the comfort mode did really help. I found if you just picked your point where you were heading towards and just kind of stayed at it and let yourself move, that I was feeling okay, because you can play this game 100% seated. So you don't have to stand up. So I pretty much played it 100% seated. As you moved, your peripherals are narrowed. So I kind of explained that before, with your guns being at your hips and your holsters, and you pick it up by placing your virtual hands over the guns, pressing the trigger button to pick it up. You don't have to continually hold the trigger button. It'll stay in your hand until you replace it back into your holster, and then you'd use the same button to fire. You reload your gun by grabbing at your chest and then making the motion like you're putting the magazine back into the gun.
Nice.
Let's see, as the game progresses, you do get access to other guns. So you start off with like just a regular handgun, 9mm. So you can also get shotguns, automatics, pump shotguns, sniper rifles, revolvers, all of these different kinds of ones. So at some point you can have up to 4 guns at a time, 2 smaller ones that are at your hip, 2 larger ones that are holstered on your back. And the ammo is spread very nicely throughout all of the game. I never ran into an issue of running out, and I'm a spray and pray kind of player. So if I didn't run out of ammo, you'll probably be just fine, because there's only 2 modes to play. There was cinematic mode, which the way it articulated it was just like for a casual player who really just wanted to kind of go through the story and experience it. And then there was normal mode, which is what I played it on, where you can die, and you will eventually. So the interaction in the game is set. So what I mean by that is you don't have dialogue options. So it's your standard cutscenes. But the interactions are quite fun. The way the story was written and how well the actors portrayed the parts was really immersive. Nice. The characters have a lot of heart, which comes through with every little joke, interrogation, even the silent exchanges between the characters that you see. Even when I wasn't directly in the action, I really enjoyed every second of it. There are collectibles that you can get throughout the game. So definitely look around thoroughly in every scene. Sometimes there's random bullseyes that will be kind of hidden or right there, so you shoot them. Shooting them earns you stars, which you can use to later upgrade your weapons. I didn't notice this right away, so I'm not really sure how many I missed early on, but when I saw one that I passed, it kind of made me sad, because one complaint I do have is, since the game is extremely linear, once you've moved forward on an arrow, you can't go backwards.
Okay.
So you'd have to do like another playthrough. So if you turned around and looked behind you, there's no more arrow that's going to show up. And since you can't move freely to explore the world, you'll just have to go to another playthrough if you are an achievement hunter. They also hid several flavors of vapes in the game, because I guess since it's 2019 and people vape more than they smoke.
Sure.
So check every drawer. And so this kind of likens back to your brother in the very beginning, if you remember me saying that you had some really nice exchanges in the car as he was taking you home from the airport. He starts to vape. your character asks, what the hell are you doing? What is that thing? And so he explains what it is and offers it to you. Go, hey, try it out. I took it. I thought it was kind of weird that you couldn't actually take a hit off of it, because in some games they actually let you smoke cigars or do anything like that. Or I tried to, and in my trying to, I dropped it, and the brother actually looked at me and goes, "Hey, Butterfingers," which I know is kind of small, but for immersion's sake, I thought that was a really nice thing to add in.
Yeah.
That it was reacting to something that you did in the game. That was completely by accident on my part. So I found that was kind of cute. So they also have like little statues that you can collect throughout the game as well. I found less of these than the other collectibles, so I'm not sure how many yet of all of those things you can collect. So speaking of upgrading your weapons, so as I mentioned, the story is very linear. So in between chapters, you're sent to a safe house. Here's where you can see what you've collected thus far, and if you go into a basement, there's a shooting range that you can play in. You can practice shooting there if you like, but mostly it's there for you to upgrade your guns. So you take your gun, you place it in the holster in front of you, and on a board to your right, it shows you the amount of stars that you have and how many pieces that you have that you've unlocked so far that you can place onto your gun. So there wasn't a whole lot of options. There was 4 that I've seen so far. You can add a silencer, a sight, a laser sight if you ever get enough stars. I never did get enough stars for that. I think it was like 90 stars that you needed to get the laser sight. And then you can change the color of your gun if you want to. You can unlock different colors, and it's like a little paint spray gun. You pick up the color, you put it in there, and you can spray paint the gun. I think I unlocked blue and a yellowish orange color. And then once you're finished here, you just exit via the elevator to your right, and then it moves you on to the next chapter. So it's kind of one of those things that once you've played whatever it considers a level, it'll put you in the safe house. So how does it play? It's really not too bad for PlayStation VR. And I know I might get a lot of crap for this, because my biggest complaint is that it's only on PlayStation VR. I feel like this game did itself an injustice by limiting it to what Sony's VR capabilities are. Why? If you've played enough VR systems, and maybe it's because I've gotten so used to playing PC VR now that it's more evident to me just how bad the tracking can be on PlayStation VR. It's just not there yet. So you have the one camera in front of you, and it takes a quick scan of the room that you're in, and you got the 2 wands, or you can play with a controller with this game as well. I would just find that randomly throughout the game, my hands would jump 6 inches to the left, or my arms would be where my elbows are in real life, which would make interacting with things, grabbing things, impossible. And the same with aiming the gun. You might have to overcompensate by really moving your gun to the right so it would appear straight in the game. So those kinds of things, unfortunately, would really break the immersion, which would be terrible, because a lot of the times there's plenty of action scenes where you have to climb on the side of a building, for example, climb a ladder. You jump out of a window even at some point and have to grab a ledge to your safety. I was stuck in a cycle of about 5 deaths in a row, because as I would grab the ledge, my tracking would go away and I would fall to my death. And then that breaks my immersion, because now I have to exit and go back into the game's own calibration system to reset everything back up so everything would be correct in my world again, so I could continue on. So that legitimately frustrated me for a couple of things. And before you ask, yes, I had the camera 5 to 7 feet in front of me. Yes, my wands were fully charged. I'm not knocking PSVR, because I really do think if you're wanting to dip your toe into VR and you already own a PlayStation, this is a fantastic way to do it, because it's really extremely economical and it really is good for what it is. It was just with this high impact action kind of game, to lose the tracking at the times that I would broke the immersion so hard that the game is so fantastic that I feel like it deserves a higher system that can run it. And that's just my own personal opinion. Hell, I even killed friendlies by accident, because as I mentioned earlier, your bigger guns would get holstered to your back, and there's no sensors in your back, so the camera would lose tracking as I'm reaching behind me to grab my gun. And as I mentioned, shooting and picking things up are on the same button. So as I would put it in my back, if I had someone sitting to the right of me in the car, sometimes I'd accidentally shoot them and that scene would be game over because I was trying to put it in my holster, but it wouldn't register that I had it in my holster and I'd shoot my driver. So kind of keep that in mind. If I had enough patience to feel the vibration of the wand so I would know I lined up with the holster, that would help too. But sometimes I had to just turn to where the camera could see my back and holster the gun so that I could successfully move on with that scene. But I think that particular thing only happened to me twice. So, or if I had a gun that required two hands, let's say the pump action shotgun, it would lose tracking on the one that has to pump, and then I would die because I couldn't get any shots off and people are shooting at me. So like those things kind of triggered me a little bit because you'd be in such a high action scene and it would just lose it. So really my biggest complaint is the hardware that it limited itself to. But other than that, that's the only disservice I feel like this game did for itself, was limiting it to. Yeah, there was like some small bugs where like some things would kind of half fall into the environment, but I feel like any VR game on any system has that, or it'll glitch and bounce around for something, like if you drop something and it just hit a corner just right. But with that being said, I still don't feel like it was bad enough to not warrant getting this game, because all in all, I am very, very happy with this purchase. So go give him your money, in my opinion. Hands down, this is easily one of my favorite VR games to date.
Nice.
You feel like such a badass in an action movie. If you allow yourself to just fully take on the character as you move through the game, you're going to have a blast. Just sit at home and role play, dude. Get into it because it's so much fun. Double gunning, running through slow motion scenes, or taking advantage of precision mode, which is one thing that you have. If you hit both of the buttons down at the same time, it slows it down for you. Also, so like kind of Mad Max style or whatever it is when they got that slow motion, and just double gunning it through slowly, you just feel so awesome. There's even a scene that takes you through the planning of your revenge. So you start off in a room, you're talking with this guy about your plans. Boom. Next vignette, you're taken to you executing that part. Boom. You come back in and you're like, what's the next part? Boom. You go back. It's very Ocean's 11.
Nice.
And it just felt nice. So it appears that you probably could kind of do this stealthily or go in guns blazing. I always chose guns. But in spite of the flaws of just the PSVR, I think this game just nailed everything. You get about 5 to 6 hours of campaign in this. You'll feel like Jack Reacher. I honestly I feel like you need to just buy this game. I want to support this London Studios because it caught my eye. If some of you might remember Worlds, that had 5 different VR games on it, kind of like demo length. London Heist was on there, which is by this people. And when I played London Heist, I was insanely excited for this game and immediately sought out the developers who did this because I had to know if they were making anything else. And that's when I discovered they were in fact working on Blood and Truth. I haven't had this much fun in a game in a super long time.
Nice.
It was awesome. So as far as what the devs put out there, hands down, love it. And I even love that there might have left room for DLCs.
Good.
The way that it ended. So I hope we get more. Throw them your money. Like I said, my only complaint is that I wish it would have also been on PC, because I think it really deserves to have like a better tracking system so that you could stay immersed in it the whole time. My God, it's a great game. It really is. Freaking love it. Freaking love it.
You've heard it here first. Or maybe you haven't. But
yeah,
you
maybe
didn't know
not.
anything
But
about
my
it.
God, I just, man, alive. It exceeded my expectations because I had a feeling it was going to be a lot of fun. But you really do feel like you're in an action movie. It's so cool the way they slow things down. You're jumping off of buildings. You're jumping out of airplanes. You're breaking through windows. Like, it's just, go play this game. Go play it. If you have PlayStation VR, man, just throw your money at it. You'll have so much fun.
I think I'm going to have to. Of course, I've already said I don't.
And just to let you know, I did play on regular PlayStation 2. It wasn't the Pro. So I don't know if there's going to be some people that are like, they're tracking with the Pro, because I don't think that has anything to do with it.
No.
But just for the sake of transparency, I do not have a PlayStation Pro. And as you know from last week, I didn't even think I had a PlayStation. So by the grace of God, it just turned itself back on randomly one day. And so I was able to play this game. So,
Good. Did now
yeah.
to kind of to talk about your PlayStation problem. What exactly happened? Did it crash or was it showing an error message?
It was doing that beep, 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 beep.
Oh.
Which, as I was doing research on it, kind of made it sound like it was the Xbox's equivalent to the Red Ring of Death.
Gotcha.
So, like, the light would kind of faintly go across the back of it and just go beep, 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 and never fully turn on. And this happened for several days. So we just put it on a shelf and was just like, well, maybe I'll see if I can go get it fixed or something like that, you know? And then one day I just kind of looked up some other solutions, and honestly, one of them was just to smack it. I know, I laughed. I'm like, all right. So I, not real hard, obviously, because I didn't want to break it, but I just smacked it real hard on the top and plugged it back in, and it turned on. So I like to think I beat it in submission.
Nice. No,
Maybe it just needed a good long break, but I don't know. But I like to think it was because I smacked it around and showed it who's boss.
For sure. No, you actually reminded me of an incident I had yesterday, because I thought mine was gone, because I turned it on and was immediately greeted to this error message where it was like trying to update, and it said, update cannot be completed or file cannot be found, error code, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just sitting there pressing my buttons on my controller, and I'm like, what is going on? Because it had the little OK button, and I'm like, nothing's working. So I shut it off. I unplugged it. I did all these things, and that error message remained, and I'm like, what happened? So I started looking it up, and somebody said, if you've got a cable for your controller, just plug it in there and wire it. And then as soon as I did, it hit OK, and it went through, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Interesting.
Because I really started getting worried, because I started seeing these other screens show up that said rebuilding data and all this other stuff. I'm like, please don't reset.
Oh, no.
Yeah, don't reset my system.
That would be bad.
But everything came back, so I was happy.
So good. All right.
But yeah, Blood and
Go play
Truth.
this game.
Go play it.
So I need to tell you, just go spend it. You won't regret it. You'll love it, dude.
That's another.
Trying to talk him
another
into
game.
it. I know. But this one I encourage. I will be the let Katrina yell at me. Be like, but yeah, you play it too, Katrina, and I think you'll love it. You'll feel like such a badass.
Oh.
Definitely playing it again.
Okay, good. Well, that's our show. If you've got nothing else, and
No.
thank you to all of our listeners out there in Radioland. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Super Mega Crash. Find us on Instagram. You can view our weekly icon art. Shoot us an email at supermegacrash@gmail.com, and maybe we'll read it on the show if we ever get one. You can support the show by pressing a like button, leaving reviews on your preferred platform, and you can even go to patreon.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. And should you want to share the love, tell your friends to find us on the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network, found on Apple Podcast for now. Unless something happens.
Right?
It's not our
We'll
fault.
see what
Yeah,
happens.
it's not our fault. But we're also on Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube at youtube.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. Thank you so much for listening. I am Stephen White.
I'm Lacey Finley.
Join us again next time, Super Mega Crash siblings. But until then, game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.